All right. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be offering this workshop to you all. My name is Crystal Jograp, and I am going to be walking you through your visibility shift. So, it's really going to be about taking you out of glorified employee mode, glorified assistant mode, and allowing you to lead as the CEO that you were always meant to be. And a lot of that is how you are showing up, the intention that you're bringing to it, and also the systems to back up and support your capacity to show up the way that you want to show up. Okay. So we're going to be talking about your CEO era. We're going to talk about sustainability and building for longevity, the 4 C's when it comes to visibility, looking at your brand ecosystem. How are you making it easy to say yes? What kind of backend systems do you have to support your capacity? And then also one of my favorite things, how are you leveraging community? You truly, if you are the only one that is out there talking about your brand, talking about your offers, you've got more work to do because there are so many people that can really help you amplify your message so that you are compounding the way that you are able to show up and how far your reach is without you necessarily having to do more work. Okay, so we're going to stop throwing spaghetti at the wall with your content, and we really want to build a visibility engine that works with your business and not against it. So, a little bit about me. I am a two-time founder. I have a product line called Book of Bijou and a community platform called Empowered by Women. We host events, we have a podcast, and I'm also a brand systems and visibility strategist. I love speaking on stages and at conferences, and I have two baby girls and a baby boy. So, in building Book of Bijou and Empowered by Women, I've learned and truly leveraged the power of strategic visibility. And since 2022, I've cultivated more than 50 strategic partnerships, spoken on 30 plus virtual and in real life stages, and now support other ambitious women in developing their own visibility strategies. Those numbers definitely have not yet been updated, so it's a bit higher than that is it is showing, but it's really about helping women like you get seen and paid for the genius that you have in those beautiful brains of yours without having to make you burn out. So I want to, by the end of this, really help make your visibility feel easier and also more impactful. So when it comes down to it, everything that you are doing, if we're talking about you stepping into your CEO role, you need to be doing everything with intention, right? Cueing that CEO lifestyle, cueing the way that you operate as the highest version of you. And a true CEO brings intention to everything that they do. So are you currently building with visibility, building visibility with intention? Or do you find yourself still having those moments where you're kind of just posting and praying? We're so conditioned to believe that the simple fact of more equates to consistency, right? We're constantly told to be consistent, but visibility that leads to trust and actual conversion doesn't just need consistency. That's one layer of it, yes, but you need clarity and you need systems, not just the frequency of it. So this is where the shift is going to come into play because, again, we want to build longevity. We're not just posting and praying. We want to create sustainable visibility, and that's not just about showing up more. It's about showing up strategically. So a little bit, again, about my background in terms of why visibility and why me. The 4 C's that we're really going to go into is clarity. How are you building clarity? How are you building consistency? How are you building connection? And ultimately, all of those things are going to help you build your credibility. So 2021 is when I launched my product line, Book of Bijou. I didn't launch Empowered by Women until 2022. But in those few months at the end of 2021, I started with an audience of zero. I started with an audience of family and friends, which is probably similar to a lot of you. I wasn't some influencer. I was very new to the entrepreneurship world. People had no idea who I was. And luckily, I already knew that there had to be some aligned existing, already curated audiences that I could just tap into when I started building my own audience for Book of Bijou instead of hustling for just a couple people here and there, a couple people here and there, all on my own. So immediately what I started doing in 2021 was facilitating joint giveaways. You guys remember when there were a lot of just joint giveaways on Instagram? That was a huge thing. That was my strategy back in 2021 of how do I leverage community? How do I tap into these existing audiences while I am working to create an audience of my own? And since I created a jewelry organizer, but I didn't sell or manufacture my own jewelry, I tapped on the shoulders of other jewelry brands that I really admired just on Instagram. I found them through hashtags and all the things and just scrolling through my feed. And I reached out and asked them if they would be willing to be a part of this joint giveaway with me. And they would offer a free piece of jewelry. And the craziest thing is, I was just facilitating the giveaway. I didn't even have a product yet because I was still very much in the manufacturing stages. But all of these brands said yes. And because I was the facilitator of this giveaway, part of how you enter the giveaway is by following me. So I was already starting to position myself in front of an audience that were buying things, spending their hard-earned cash on jewelry, which probably meant they had enough jewelry that needed to be stored. And if they were already spending money on jewelry, they'd probably spend money on an organizer, right? So there's already from the get-go so much intention into how I was hosting this giveaway. It wasn't just with anyone. I didn't want just the numbers. I wanted to be very strategic with who I was putting myself in front of. From there, going into 2022, then I realized, I don't want a hit and run with these relationships of these brands that I partnered with for these giveaways. I truly craved this deeper connection. And so what I did after the giveaway was over, I just reached out and I really wanted to get to know the other women that I was chatting with, right, for these giveaways. And I invited them very casually to just a virtual interview and basically said, no, and we'll share it afterwards. This ultimately turned into the Empowered by Women podcast and also opened my eyes to how powerful of a network building tool podcasts truly are. I had no intention for Empowered by Women to turn into a business, but I also had no intention for the Empowered by Women podcast to turn into a real podcast until I went through it and realized how powerful it was, because I was spending all of that time, that 1 hour, that 30 minutes, one-on-one with this guest, learning more about them, deepening that connection. And that ultimately opened more and more doors and also just built my credibility with them and my rapport with them, because I was finding more ways of how do I support you? How do I bring more visibility to you? How do we build together? And in those couple of years going up into 2024, that allowed us to have so much more brand clarity with what we were doing at Empowered by Women. We secured our LLC and we continued to build our credibility through events, through my speaking. And this is really where we started seeing a lot of word of mouth, a lot of people talking about our brands, telling people to come and join and be a member, because what we were building was so special. And in this past year and year and a half, it's really leveraging all of those moments, all of those people, all of the things that are already naturally working in our favor, right? So this is what we're going to talk about a little bit more. Word of mouth is a gold mine when you have it, but imagine what it can be when you start systematizing it a little bit, right? When you have a structure behind it, so that it can amplify a little bit more what the reach is from the word of mouth. And moving into 2025, I've spoken on multiple stages. We've hosted so many events. We've expanded our in-person community to multiple states. And again, stepping into the CEO role, we're documenting it all. We're systematizing it all. And this is how we can continue to build sustainable momentum. Okay. So let's look at these 4 C's again: clarity, consistency, connection, and credibility. The clarity piece is a big one. When I started working with some of my clients in terms of creating their own visibility strategies after I've done this for myself, it really was in the beginning very outward facing visibility, right? Who are you collaborating with? How are you finding those collaborators? How are you creating all the things on your socials and showing up in front of the people? But as we moved through the space, I recognized that some people really lacked this clarity to be able to show up in the way that they needed to show up. So I want to do a quick little clarity exercise. And I know you're just watching the recording of this, so feel free to pause after I kind of go through this slide really quick. I know many of you probably use ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. And if you're feeling like you're in this space where I have so many offers, or every time I go to a networking event, I don't quite know how to introduce myself because I do so many things. And that's wonderful. I also do so many things, but that doesn't mean you have to give everyone the full menu and the full scope of what it is that you do. You want to get really, really clear and concise about who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them. So if you feel like you're in the space where you're still kind of just trying to figure it out, what I'm really going to challenge you to do is to leverage tools like ChatGPT and all of these AI platforms to give you even just that ounce more of clarity so that you're no longer preventing yourself from showing up because you don't quite have the clarity yet. And what I say to all my clients is that you get clarity by doing, but you do have to allow yourself to do. You have to allow yourself to show up. And in the meantime, use these tools to give you kind of the boost in the right direction, to give you something to play with, to start with, to stand on. And there's always time and room for refinement and improvement as you keep showing up and as you keep talking about who you are and what your offers are and how you transform the lives of so many people. Okay. So if I were to ask you right now, like, what is your one-liner? Who are you? Who do you help? How do you help them? Would you be able to give me an answer? That's the kind of clarity and conciseness that we need just to start, right? Just to start building that clarity. So if you are still not quite figuring it out, you quite haven't figured it out yet, open up ChatGPT if you have that, and we're just going to do a quick little clarity exercise. Go ahead and just brain dump all of the things that you do. You don't have to worry about making it clean, about trying to make it all polished and concise. Let the platform take care of that for you. Okay, so I made a little example here where I said, I support women in building sustainable visibility strategies. We audit their core and supporting offers. We do a deep dive into what systems they've implemented and needed to refine or even build out from scratch. They get clarity on the positioning and voice. I also show them how to start building a powerful network of partnerships so that they're not the only ones sharing their offers. This brings them clarity, confidence, and compounds their visibility to bring in more aligned offers without scaling their effort. Some of you might be in this space where you're saying all of those things as soon as you introduce yourself, and that can feel a little bit overwhelming, and that could immediately bring up the walls of the person that is on the receiving end of that. So after you go into ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using and you kind of brain dump all the things that you're doing and what you're trying to put in this beautifully polished package, prompt it to give you a one-liner positioning statement. Okay. Feel free to pause this and then come back to it once you've done it. So once I did that, this is what it gave me. It offered me several different options for my one-liner positioning statement, each with a slightly different angle depending on where you want the emphasis. Top recommendation, I help women entrepreneurs build sustainable, collaboration-driven visibility by strengthening their offers, systems, and positioning so they become sought after without scaling their effort. And immediately I have something that's clean. I have something that makes even me, even though I feel like I'm so confident in what I order, it's given me a little bit of clarity, right? And how I can communicate that offer to my audience. Okay, this example that we just walked through is the very, very base level of how you can use a platform like this. But again, if you're still in that space of trying to figure it out, just leverage these tools so that you can get closer and closer to it. One of my other clients kind of went through this exercise and it gave her a title because she was really struggling to figure out which title she wanted to land on for herself. So we played around with ChatGPT to give her some options, and I challenged her, pick the one that's right now is resonating with you most and use that. Introduce yourself as that for now. And if you give yourself time to sit with it, to play with it, to actually be in it, that is what's going to give you clarity. And then, the next week or two, she came back to the drawing board and she said, you know what, I liked it at first, but I don't think that's really what it is that I'm trying to communicate. So now this is my title. But it allowed her to get to that point, right? Instead of just constantly overthinking and twiddling her thumbs and sitting at her desk and trying to figure out how to show up, she was able to show up and then get clarity and then refine. And that's what I want from all of you. All right. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into ChatGPT. Again, that's a very base level of ChatGPT, but there's already so much value in the way that you can use it in that level. So once you get your clarity in terms of who you are, who you're supporting, how you want to support them, you want clarity in your full brand ecosystem. Okay. And when I say a brand ecosystem, I mean really understanding how all of these beautiful pieces of what you offer work together and support each other. When you get clarity on your brand ecosystem, then it becomes easier for you to bring people into your world and also guide them into all the right places that are going to serve them in the season that they're in. But if you are confused about what your brand ecosystem looks like, it can be incredibly confusing for your audience or your ideal clients to understand where they fit into your world. What offer serves them the most? How do they get from one point to the next? You might even see people entering your world, buying something really quick, maybe your low ticket offer, and then immediately entering your world because you haven't created the systems to keep them in there and to keep them investing in all of your brilliance. So when we're talking about your brand ecosystem, it starts with your hero offer, right? Your hero offer, your signature offer. This is going to be your main thing. What ultimately would you love people to funnel into? What ultimately is bringing you in the most revenue? What is your signature offer? Get clear on that. And it's okay to have supporting offers. I highly recommend it. I am never going to be the person that says, have one offer, serve one person, and that's it, and stick to it and master it. For one, I get bored very easily. So that's never going to be a strategy for me. And two, I think it's just the smart thing to have different offers because, again, people are going to come to you in different seasons of your life. So you get to serve them in those different seasons, right? I'm not saying you're serving completely different people. These are all your ideal clients, but they're in different seasons of the journey that they need to be in with you. And also, I mean, just think about TikTok. Remember that whole TikTok fiasco when it shut down for 2 days? You don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. So I do think it's smart to just have multiple offers. But again, you need that clarity to be able to support it. So once you get clear on what your signature offer is and what your supporting offers are, you want to also understand where are your entry points, meaning how are people getting into your world? Do you host events? Are they in person? Are they virtual? Do you speak at events? Maybe you're a in community expert, kind of like what this training is. Are you just on social media? Maybe you've hacked the algorithm and you went viral. That can be an entry point. There are so many different entry points, but you want to get an understanding of what's working best for you, what are actually allowing people to convert more. And then from there, once they've entered your world, what are your nurture paths? Meaning, how are they stepping from one stone to the next and going through this ideal client journey that you've so beautifully laid out for them? You need to create these paths so that people understand and can see what else it is that you have to offer. And this is really more internal visibility, right? Because it's not about just listing everything that you offer on your socials constantly, saying I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this. It is understanding that they're coming in at this point. This offer right here is serving them best at the season that they're in. But once they've immersed themselves in that offer and taken advantage of it and gotten the transformation that they needed, then I'm going to guide them to the next step. Your brand needs to guide clients from first touch to long-term engagement. Okay, not everyone is going to be ready to buy right away, but everyone should know how to take the next step. And when you make that so easy for them, that's how they keep buying from you on repeat. And you're not constantly having to find the next client, the next client, the next client. But how do I serve this client again and better and deeper? Right? How do I up-level their transformation? Okay. So another thing that I love to talk about with all of my clients is, are you making it easy to say yes? If it's hard to buy from you, people will not buy from you. Your systems need to create ease for both you and your audience. So do you have a clear offer? Is there an obvious next step? Is it a smooth journey from interest to investment? So some of the things that I want you to remember is to treat networking like a first date. Okay. Meaning you're not giving it away right away. You're not giving them the whole kitchen right from the get-go. You give them a little taste. You give them a little teaser. But also, you're being very mindful of learning about the person you're on a date with, understanding their interests, and sharing what you have in your world, in your realm, in your vault that will continue to pique their interest, right? That maybe they're aligned with. Those are the things that you're talking about and sharing about in networking. You're really feeling it out, seeing what makes sense, and you're bringing up the topics that you know that they're interested in. And it's not about you. You don't want to appear so overeager, because when you appear overeager, you actually are kind of like closing yourself off. People can feel that. People can sense when you're trying to sell them. So when you're not overeager, you're actually appearing a little bit more confident, a little bit more desirable. You want to leave them wanting more, right? And at the end of the day, then what do you say? Let's do this again sometime. You want to tell them what to do. This is your CTA, right? Don't have a beautiful conversation and never get their number and never talk to them and never see them again and always wonder what if. Tell them what to do. What is your call to action? Is it, yeah, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's connect on LinkedIn. I'll send you a message. Oh, let's book a call for next week. What does that CTA look like? Get clear on it so it becomes routine. And then afterwards, meet them where they're at. And this is where the fun of visibility comes into play, because I know it can be so overwhelming with all these different social platforms. There's Pinterest, there's LinkedIn, there's TikTok, there's email, there's Substack. There's so many things that you can be on, and it can be very overwhelming. And while I do think that there's brilliance and beauty in this kind of omnipresence that you can build in the digital world, I would never recommend it if it's overwhelming to you. And there are systems that can support you in showing up in all of these places without you feeling like you're needing to continue piling onto your to-do list. But when I'm talking about meeting them where they're at, maybe your call to action was, oh yeah, sign up for my email list. Okay, are you actually doing the work to nurture the people on your email list? And if so, what does that look like? Right? And maybe they sign up for your email list, but they don't actually open it because they're one of those people that have like 10,000 unread emails and they're more active on LinkedIn. So what could you do to leverage the content that you've created for your newsletter on your email, right? And repurpose it for a platform like LinkedIn. There's Content 360, which is a platform I just heard about that helps you post different things in different places. I haven't tried it out yet. There's all of these AI tools that can take your long form content and chop it up and make it into a reel or an Instagram post. There are so many tools that you could leverage to take the content that you've already created and allow you to place it in multiple places so that you can meet them where they're at, right? From there, tailor your pitch. Again, kind of like going back to treating networking like a first date. When it gets to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and make the offer, make the sale, right? Tailor your pitch. Don't offer them the full 10-course meal if they are only asking for a little appetizer. Maybe they don't need coaching support for 12 months and they really want to just get down to the nitty-gritty in a 3-hour intensive with you. But because you've been taking the time to actually learn them and understand them, then you can be mindful of which offer you're bringing visibility to. And because you've gotten so good and so clear on what your brand ecosystem is, once they've taken you up on that offer, right? From there, you can upsell or downsell. From there, your nurture paths come into play so that it ultimately does bring visibility to these other offers that maybe you didn't originally offer. But now you get to guide them to that point. And it's all this beautifully curated journey that you've crafted for this ideal client. Another reminder is don't forget you. This probably could have been at the very top, but don't forget you. You are the magic sauce. And it's so easy to get lost in the noise and to want to sound like all of these coaches that are talking about they make 100K cash months, or all of these, gurus on Instagram, or the people that you meet that are wearing like the fancy suits. There's going to be strategy surrounding you all day long. There's going to be storytelling frameworks, carousel strategies. This is how you talk. This is how you pitch. This is what you should say. But at the end of the day, you cannot forget you. And you want to bring it back to that clarity, right? Bring it back to who you are. Why are you serving the people that you serve? And what makes you different? And stop trying to suppress that. Stop trying to filter that, because that is what is going to bring in more aligned clients. That is what's going to blow up your business. That's what's going to bring you the audience that absolutely lights you up. That is what is going to help you compound your presence, both in person and digitally, because you are this one of a kind person that people are excited to see and hear from. You're not sounding like everyone else. You're not getting lost in the sauce. You are the magic sauce, and you need to put that on everything. Okay. And then lastly, don't ever let them forget. You've met them, you had a beautiful date, you're showing up, but do not get tricked into believing that posting once or twice or even 3 times about your event, about your product, about your offer is enough. It is not nearly enough. You need to keep on sharing it. Again, remember, they might not open their emails. The algorithm might not be doing you any favors, and they might not have seen your last 5 posts. This is why it's so important to stay consistent in this aspect of continuing to share. Continue to share different aspects of what it is that you offer, different client stories, different transformations, different features of your product. And the more that you share, even if they're not quite buying, they are paying attention. And it takes a lot of touch points for someone to be able to convert. I've heard so many different numbers. I'm not even going to throw a number out there. But you should be talking about your offer constantly in a way that feels really good and really aligned to you, so that when it does come time for them to be ready to buy, you are top of mind. Even if it's subconsciously, right? Even if they're not necessarily actively like watching you, if they can see your posts and you're kind of just constantly showing up on their feed, you will be top of mind when the time is ready for them to say, okay, this is what I need. Oh yeah, I remember this person's constantly talking about it. Let me reach out to her. So where are your gaps? Take stock for a second. Where are your gaps? Do you have confusing offers? Do you have an unclear client journey? Maybe you don't even have a lead capture system. Maybe you're not collecting emails, right? You don't have an opt-in. Maybe you don't have the follow-up systems, those email sequences, those nurture paths. And I am talking about so many, not just when they sign up for your email list, you have an email sequence, but what about when they're done with your offer, right? What if they finished your 6-month container? What if they cancel their membership with you? Do you have a sequence for that? To potentially reactivate them, or even at the very least, get data as to why they left or why they're not renewing or whatever the case may be. At least get some beautiful transformation testimonial from them. All of these different points you can have email sequences for. Maybe you're feeling momentum drops between launches. This means that maybe you need to focus a little bit more on the longevity of things. You need to create a better cadence between your offers, so that even though you're not promoting some big offer, there are still systems and little offers on the back end that are working on your behalf, that are still bringing in revenue, bringing in sales, so that you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to start this process all over again. I just spent the last 3 months, 4 months leading up to this launch, and now that it's over, there's no more excitement. There's no more momentum. How do you fill those gaps strategically, not chaotically, not just throwing in more and more offers, but being very mindful of the cadence that you have in promoting all of the different beautiful offers that you have? This is where we're going to start talking about systems, because visibility without systems ultimately will lead you to burnout. Okay? And we can't have you burning out. Posting more is not the solution if your backend can't support the growth. There is no point in just constantly posting and posting and posting if you haven't taken the time to build the backend systems, because those are the real secret to showing up like the visionary CEO that you are and stepping out of that glorified employee mode, where you are just focusing on those remedial tasks of creating more content, and that's it, with no true intention behind it. And those systems can look different for everyone. And that's kind of the beautiful part about it. You get to create systems that support you, who you are, how you operate, and how you want to continue to show up. Okay, but I want you to repeat after me. Hustling does not equal visibility. And at the beginning, it could feel very much like you have to hustle, you have to do the outreach. People don't know you, people don't trust you, I get it. But it shouldn't always feel that way. There are seasons where we might have to hustle. Yes, I truly believe that. And that's okay. But those are seasons that are designed that way for a reason, right? Because you're still building systems on the back end to support you in kind of removing those layers of hustle the more and more you build. This is the structure that you're building. Because you might be starting out with hustle all the way up here and structure all the way down here. But ultimately, the end goal is to flip the script, right? And to have all of this structure to support you and to replace all of that hustle. The structure is what's going to create sustainability for you. So let's talk systems. One of my favorite things to talk about, because we want these visibility flows to do the heavy lifting for you. We've already talked about lead capture and email sequences a little bit. But what about creating content? I mean, the world that we live in, it's just the smart thing to be on socials. Do I think you need to be there every single day, posting every single day on all the different platforms? No. Like I said, if pick one or two platforms. If email is your favorite thing, if Substack's your favorite thing, LinkedIn is your favorite thing, wonderful. Take that and learn how to repurpose it. Yes, so you can be on multiple platforms. But don't try to figure out a strategy for every single platform and optimizing for every single platform. That's going to burn you out. But you can get really strategic with how you're creating content and how you're leveraging AI, how you're leveraging templates, so that things become easier for you and you're not constantly having to reinvent the wheel. You're not constantly spending hours on a single post that doesn't land. I personally do not like to content batch. I like to create content when I'm feeling inspired. So I created a system that supports that I'm going to show you a little behind the scenes of for in just a second. And then collaboration outreach. I think that every single one of you should be working on building community, working on building relationships, working on building collaborations and strategic partnerships, but then also simultaneously understanding what your true capacity for that is and then creating a cadence for it, right? So maybe you only do 2 big collabs a year, right? Maybe you're only bringing on a certain type of person or brand or organization for your strategic partnerships, and they're going to operate in a certain way. Get really specific about it. In the beginning of building Empowered by Women, I was doing all the things and I was being in all the places and everything sounded like an amazing opportunity, but I very well was close to burnout because I was constantly doing all the things and doing all the things differently, when I could have really just created a system, rinse and repeat, right? This is the new brand partner that I'm partnering with, that I'm collaborating with. This is what I've done in the past. These are the deliverables, all the things. So let's go back to content batching really quick, because I feel like I can get very carried away and I want to make sure you get this. Okay, going back to ChatGPT. If you are paying for ChatGPT or something similar and you are not building out a custom GPT, if you're on ChatGPT, or a gem if you're on Gemini, or I think it's a project if you're on Claude, then you are not maximizing the platform that you're paying for. So if you are paying the $20 a month for ChatGPT and you haven't built out a custom GPT, let me just blow your mind really quick about what is possible. In that quick example that we did earlier, that was the very base level of what you could do with an AI platform like this, right? You just start typing in randomly. You're kind of like flying by the seat of your pants. This is what I want. You're listing out all the things manually, and then you're asking it a question and waiting for the output after you've spent all this time creating the input, right? Okay, that's the base level of it. The next step from there is maybe you have a set series of prompts that you like to go back to. Maybe you have a whole prompt vault that you get to copy and paste in your GPT. Wonderful. This is the next layer on top of that. Okay. Because now I've built out a custom GPT. This one is called Copy Confidant. And like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to creating content, I found myself spending so much time creating a single piece of content and then it never landed. And then it just felt like such a waste of time. But every time I tried a content batch, it just didn't work for me. I felt so uninspired. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to write about. It just felt absolutely dreadful. So I realized that I'm most inspired after a client session, after one of our mastermind calls with our community. right? After I'm having these beautiful one-on-one conversations or I go to a networking event, that's when I feel most inspired. So what I started doing was going into ChatGPT and then sending a voice note instead of typing everything out. But I realized that there was friction in that also, and my voice note wouldn't always send. So one of the things I'm always talking about is WTF. Where's the friction? Where is the friction in your current processes? And that was friction for me. So I went and built myself a custom GPT called Copy Confidant. And what I started doing was creating what is called a conversation starter or a trigger phrase. That is this button right here. It says, I have a new session recap. And all of my client sessions are recorded and I have the transcripts for it. So immediately after a client session or when I'm feeling really inspired, I go into this GPT and I click this one button. This button then prompts me either for a voice note or the session transcript. I go ahead and upload it in here, and then it immediately creates 3 pieces of content for me, alternating between a reel, a carousel, and a LinkedIn post. And I've told it exactly what kind of post that I want, right? And exactly what I want in this chart. Tell me what kind of post it is. What is the idea of the post? If it's a reel, give me a script that's no more than 7 sentences. Give me the caption to go with it. Give me the hashtags to go with it. If it's a carousel, tell me exactly what text is on every single slide. One button that I pressed, one transcript that I uploaded, and I have 3 pieces of content specific to that session that I can now use. And this has been put into a copy and paste chart that I just paste into my Google Sheet where I have a whole content vault that I can tap into. So whenever I am feeling like, ooh, I want to create content, I'm not, oh my gosh, what do I post? What do I even talk about today? I have a whole vault I can lean in on with all the things already written out. And that's become part of my routine. And that's what I want you to get accustomed to, is creating these routines in your schedule so that you can show up, so that it's not feeling like you're constantly scrambling, you're constantly finding time. One of my other clients, she's writing a book. And her problem was, I can never find time to create the content. And I also never know what to post about. And I told her, you're literally writing a book. You have so much content. Otherwise, you wouldn't be writing a book. So do you have time that's already blocked out to write your book? Yeah, I block out about 45 minutes. Okay, wonderful. Can you extend that an extra 15 minutes? So after you're done writing for that 45 minutes and you're so inspired, can you create something in that 15 minutes that is content strictly about that 45 minutes that you were just writing for? And now that's a part of her routine. And it feels good to her, right? Because it's something that she's already kind of doing. Create those routines, create those systems that make it easy for you. That creates sustainable visibility. Here's another one that I did. This custom GPT is called Evie Ray, after my daughters, Evelyn and Layla Ray. I want to be on more podcasts. That's part of my visibility strategy. But I hate researching podcasts. I don't want to keep spending time just looking it up and finding the applications and figuring out, what do I say to this person? And I realized that all these applications that I'm filling out, I'm saying the same things over and over again. I don't want to spend all of this time doing that, because I know my magic and my transformation and impact is going to come through once I'm on the podcast. That's where I want to spend my time. But I do know that I need to do outreach. So I created a conversation trigger for me that says, pull 3 new podcasts for me to pitch. One button. And it lists out 3 different podcasts. It gives me the link. It tells me what the topic or the theme of the podcast is. What is my particular pitching angle? Because I've already trained this custom GPT on who I am and what I love to speak about and what my values are. And also, what's the contact information, or where's the application link? Give that to me. So now that I've built this out, I can actually delegate this. I don't even need to touch it. I delegated this to my VA. So now she just pushes the button, copies and pastes it into our podcast leads, and then either sends the email that's been drafted by GPT that's in my voice, or also uses this chat GPT, this custom GPT, to fill out the applications because it already knows how I answer things, saving countless hours. And this is still almost just this is kind of still one of the surface layers of AI and what it could do for you. If you really wanted to go all crazy, all of this could be automated. Yes. I'm not quite there yet. I will be. I'm not quite there yet, but this has helped me out tremendously. And I don't want you to be afraid to even start using these tools just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Don't get bogged down and feeling like you are not tech savvy enough to figure this out. Okay. If you're wanting to build out a custom GPT like this, have Chat GPT help you build out the custom GPT. Okay. From there, I want to talk about community because you cannot build visibility without community. It doesn't make sense. Why would you want to do that? Your community is your audience, right? Your community is your customers, your clients. And your community also is your megaphone, your amplifier. Your visibility grows exponentially when your community is brought on the journey with you and you've empowered them to share all the things that you're doing. This is where collaboration and co-creation come in. So different examples of what that could look like as a visibility channel. Word of mouth, of course, that's always like a gold mine. Tap into that. UGC is part of that, user-generated content, but how do you systematize that, right? Someone might order your product and absolutely love it and create content for you, and that's wonderful, and we love that, and they'll tag you, and yes, amazing. How do you systematize it? How do you incentivize it, right? Can you make referral incentives? Can you bring anyone on as an affiliate partner so they have more incentive to keep showing up? They're already doing it. So can you nudge them a little bit further and incentivize them for that, right? Can you create a system behind it so that it's more expected than just a pleasant surprise? Are there different local organizations or communities that you can partner with? We've collaborated with a few different communities that are constantly promoting everything that we're doing with Empowered by Women. Few of them have even said that they will share our events. So now what are we doing? We're systematizing it. Now my assistant will send them an email every quarter with a list of our upcoming events so that they could take whatever that's aligned with their own audience and share it for us. And it takes one email for us to amplify our visibility. It takes one email to them. Obvious options are co-host. Can you co-host events with people? Virtual summits, workshops, an IG live? What does that look like? And then create collaboration posts from that whenever you're doing co-hosted things. Use that collaboration feature. That allows you to live on the other person's feed. I had a film director or producer saying she had all this beautiful content, but she was only adding her other Instagram as a collaboration. And I was like, what do you mean? You're on all these projects with all these amazing people. Why are you not adding them as collaborators also? Such a simple thing that could amplify her presence tremendously that she wasn't leveraging. Can you bring people in to sponsor the different initiatives that you have? This definitely takes a lot more back-end work and a lot more relationship building so that they can continue to see the value of working with you and pouring into you. But sponsorship can be a great thing too. And then you get that also affiliation with some really big brand names that help build towards your credibility. Can you get on more podcasts? Can you get on more speaking engagements? That's a quick way to build your authority. Because the second you are announced as a speaker, you're on a stage that already brings you credibility. So how do you maximize that? How do you optimize that? How do you create a system to get more of those opportunities knocking on your door? And then team growth. A lot of our word of mouth has kind of turned into team growth, right? I've recognized that a lot of women within our membership were constantly sharing it. They believed in what we were building. So instead of just thanking them for it, we did that and more. How do we open up our platform and empower them to do more? How do we position them as a leader within what it is that we're building? So we can tap into this resource that's already there and already has all the enthusiasm and knows what our brand is about to keep on sharing us. Okay. And then from there, you want to make it easy again to share and to co-create. Remember, if you're making it hard for people, they're not going to do it. Even if their intention is there, even if they have all the intentions in the world. I say this all the time. We have a lot of people that are wanting us to share their events. Okay, make it easy for me to do it and I will do it. But if you're sending me a different photo that I have to download and you're sending me to a link that I have to copy and paste, all this stuff, I'm probably not going to do it. I simply don't have the time and capacity. As much as I would love to support you, as much as my intention is there to support you, you have to make it easy. And same thing goes for you, right? Whenever you're creating these partnerships. For these communities that have said they'll share our events, I'm not expecting them to make it a point to come to my website to figure out what we're hosting and then take all of that information and post it and share it with their own audience. I will make it easy for them. They're doing me a favor, so I will make it easy for them. I will give them the list of the events and the images and the links. Here you go. Do with it what you can. Thank you for your support. Make it easy for them. Create the media kits. Have your photos. If you're doing speaking engagements and podcasts in particularly, have your bios and your half body shots and your full body shots and your short bio and your long form bio and your social media links. Have it all ready to go. If you're partnering with people, if you want people to share what your offer is, part of your media kit can include the copy, right? How do you want them to share you? How do you want them to talk about you and what it is that you offer? Give them the words so they can simply copy and paste it. Tell them exactly what to do. I would love your support. Okay, how can I support you? Be specific. What can I specifically do to support you? Anticipate their questions and requests. This also makes it easy, right? This removes the friction. This removes the back and forth. Know exactly what it is that they're going to need and give it to them on a silver platter. That's what's going to make it so easy to work with you, and it's going to make sponsors want to continue working with you. Local organizations want to continue working with you and supporting you because you've made everything so easy. You've laid it out all for them. This is what I was talking about the collab, the cadence, right? The repeatable processes. This is why you want to simplify your systems. And then from there, you're just continuing to nurture the relationship and reciprocate the support. Give more than you take. When I actually first put this presentation together, it was funny timing because right before I was going to present it, one of the community members texted me and said, I legit just promoted the summit to a random woman who asked me about what I was working on at Starbucks and sent her today's code. I said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love this so much. I'm actually giving a presentation on strategic visibility and leveraging community, and I'm totally going to mention this. And the crazy thing is, this is exactly what I was talking about. This is word of mouth, but I systematized it because right before she sent me this, I already had emails in place that was sent out to all of our community members, asking them to promote it and giving them all of the things, giving them the images, giving them the links, giving them exactly what to say. And what did she do? She did it. She did the thing because I made it easy for her to do the thing. I made it easy for her to amplify our visibility. So I want you to take stock on what's working and what's feeling heavy right now. Where's the friction? What are you spending a lot of time on? What is not serving its purpose? What quote unquote strategies may you have put into place simply because someone said you should be doing it, not necessarily because it was aligned? What's more of a shiny object that you've brought into your ecosystem that's not serving the greater picture, that's not bringing you in aligned clients, that's not bringing you in more revenue, but only more stress, only more things to add to your to-do list? Sustainable visibility starts with self-awareness, not just copying trends. So take stock and take stock often. Okay, we've talked about a lot of things in this 50 minutes together. So I want you to do the work now. Now is the time to do the work, right? To get clear on your offers, to build the systems that support you promoting those offers, to build the community that's excited about it and that wants to showcase it, that wants to amplify it. And then using all of those tools for the social proof, to create the content, to show up on socials, to meet them where they're at, and to keep making sure that you're top of mind. This is all going to bring you visibility that compounds. And this is all going to help you create a brand that lights you up instead of draining you. Okay, so if you're ready to step into visionary CEO mode and out of glorified employee mode, let's chat. I got you, girl. All right, my QR code is here. So what's next? You can either book a 15-minute alignment call to see if you're a fit for my coaching container. I have both a 6-month and a 12-month container. Or if you just want the kickstart, you just want to jump it off and see what would your plan be for this year and do just a full 1-hour strategy session, we can do that too. Okay, but it was a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you so much for watching this training. Thank you for being a part of this beautiful community that you're in. And I'm excited to see you do amazing things and to connect with you further.